Hi, I'm Andrew Colyer from Circuline. My dad was in the Army, so growing up we moved around a lot. I was born in an Army hospital in North Carolina, and right after I was born we moved to Japan. We lived in Japan for 3 years. Supposedly I was conceived at Disneyland. When my dad got out of the Army and we moved back to the United States, my dad took a job near St. Louis, Missouri, so I grew up in the Midwest. My mom had family on the East Coast and the West Coast, and we traveled around a lot when I was a kid, and I always thought I would wind up in California because I love the beach and I love the ocean. Growing up in the Midwest was really great, and the people were really nice, but I never really felt like I fit in there. So at the end of 1999, I moved to New York, and this feels much more at home to me. I started playing the piano when I was 3 years old. My mom taught me how to read, and we found a piano teacher who would start teaching me. So growing up in junior high and high school, I always sang, played the trumpet, played the piano. And when I went to college, at the time I wanted to triple major in classical piano performance and trumpet and voice, which was ridiculous, of course. But I wound up double majoring in classical piano performance and also pre-med. And I really wanted to go to Berklee College of Music, but my family really pushed me to go into healthcare. So I did that for about 20 years, moved around the country, built a career in healthcare, treated patients, and that was good, but my inner musician was really depressed for a long time. And I always tried to do something to kind of keep music like on the back burner. I went back to school to Juilliard and studied orchestral conducting and composition. I started a couple little independent bands with some other guys, and we did some tracks. We had Tony Levin playing a track. I had a jazz quartet for a while. In 2013, I went on the very first cruise to the Edge. On that cruise to the Edge, it was as if a light bulb really went off. And I said, I want to do that. I need to find some people who are ready, willing, and able to do something like that. And I came off that cruise and I immediately joined the progressive rock tribute band Down in Gray. Based on what had happened in Down in Gray, what was happening with Down in Gray, I actually got a gig with the Prog Rock Orchestra to perform on the 2014 Cruise to the Edge and the Moody Blues Cruise. Down in Gray actually morphed into the all-original band Circuline because we knew that we could play from doing all that hard tribute band stuff, but we really wanted to write our own material. We morphed into Circuline, the Prog Rock Orchestra happens, and everything really started taking off with Circuline. So when I was in high school and in college, that was the late 70s and the 80s. And so I wasn't really into progressive rock. I was into top 40 and what was rock then. So my first favorite rock band was ELO, and I loved Journey, and I loved Styx, and I loved Kansas, and I loved Foreigner. And also, who else was around? REO Speedwagon, that was another big one. And I also really loved film soundtracks. And I loved jazz, but I was more of a jazz from a trumpet playing standpoint. And I got into more of the keyboard piano playing later on in the 90s when I had my own jazz quartet. So I had never really heard of progressive rock before until 2004. And a guy I had just met, he was a guitar player. He met me and he said, "Oh my gosh, you're classically trained and you're a keyboard player and you know rock and pop and jazz and blues and movie soundtracks. Like, you should be into prog." And I'm like, "Prog? What's that?" And he goes, "Progressive rock." I'm like, what's progressive rock? He goes, like Yes. And I go, "Oh, Owner of a Lowly Heart." And he's like, "No, you need early Yes." He goes, like Genesis. And I go, "Oh, Invisible Touch." He's like, No, you need like Peter Gabriel." And I'm like, "Peter Gabriel is never in Genesis." Now, if you're watching this and you know all the catalogs of these bands, of course I appear to be an idiot, but I was a 70s, 80s guy. I didn't know Peter Gabriel had ever been in Genesis. I only knew his solo works. So it was as if I grew up and missed like a whole decade of music from like 1968 to 1978. I love being in Circuline because I love the team that we've assembled. Actually, before I ever joined Down in Gray, before Circuline, Natalie Brown and I had met at the very beginning of 2013. And before I went to Down in Gray, Billy Spillane came over one night because Billy and Natalie knew each other before we met. And the three of us sang some Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And the sound of our three voices together was like magic for me. And I personally had not heard a sound like that with my voice singing inside with some other harmonies like that since I was in college. We knew, wow, this sounds really good. And then it took a while to integrate that into Down and Grand, into Circuline. Obviously, Natalie's my partner, so I love her, but I love singing with her. We love writing together. We're very excited to have Matt Dorsey and Alek Darson as part of our lineup. Matt is a great bass player. He's a great vocalist. He's a great songwriter. Alek Darson is also a fantastic guitarist. They're great guys. Darren Brandon, I have a great writing relationship with him. He's not just a drummer, he's also a keyboard player and an arranger. Everyone here, we get along. It's a great social fit. It's a great musical fit. We look forward to creating music that hopefully you'll enjoy. My buddy Ron Matthews, who we'd been friends since childhood, since the 5th grade, we were in Boy Scouts together and all kinds of things, said, you got to go to this December People concert in Connecticut. You got to go see this guy, Robert Berry. Ronnie flew out. We go to the December People concert. I get to meet Robert Berry after the December People show, and he introduced me to Dave Med. Dave and I stayed up till 4 o'clock in the morning geeking out on, music, keyboard gear, and the Muse Receptor. And then Dave, because he's the keyboard player and vocalist in the Tubes, he got me the backup gig to be his backup in the Tubes, which was life-changing. So I'm forever grateful for that. Now, I've never actually played a gig with the Tubes because they've never needed me, but that was really crucial for me. Other musical projects I've been involved with include Cell 15, thank you, Bob Richardson, Frank Wyatt and Friends from Happy the Man and Oblivion Sun, the progressive metal band Awaken, 3.2 featuring Robert Berry, having to cover all that great work from Keith Emerson, Jordan Rudess, Rick Wakeman, Tony Banks. That took up the majority of my life in 2018 and 19, and there'll be a lot more to come from that in the future. I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here and being a supporter of our band, because we could not be doing this without you. And we're an independent band. We have our own independent label, and we appreciate your support, and thank you for being on this journey with us. I'm Andrew Colyer from Circuline, and this is our Meet the Band series.